Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So thank you for stopping by. Hope you had a great day. And there's some more Total War news to talk about. So it's really exciting for me to be able to get more into the Total War content creation side. I know I haven't been doing a lot of live streams around it, but that's because really Total War for me goes in waves. And so it's like I actually checked how many days I've played Total War exclusively on Steam, and I'm at 121. So it's like I've played a lot of Total War. I put 1443 hours into Total War Warhammer 2, and that was really the biggest recent release for me. But the reason why I haven't been streaming it that much is because I don't get a lot of excitement from playing it that much anymore. Because it's like I've played so much of it, like I know what I'm doing. Like it becomes routine. It's almost like mechanical. It's like I'm doing the same things every time, regardless of what happens, because I know that if I do it this way, it's going to end up being successful. So I've sort of been like not streaming or playing it all that much, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about it, not going to get excited about it and hyped about it. So obviously there's Total War Warhammer 3. We're going to put that in a separate category of hyped because that's the final piece of the trilogy. I'm super excited for it. But this is something else I've been needing to see recently, and that was more content being created for the most recently created game that Creative Assembly has put out as far as Total War, and that would be Total War 3 Kingdoms. Now, Total War 3 Kingdoms, for those of you who don't understand how the Total War series has worked, really, it was all historical up until the release of Warhammer. And Warhammer really changed how Total War was viewed, because Total War went from being something that was based off of realistic situations, realistic scenarios, into being more fantasy and incorporating Warhammer fantasy. And so what that has done is that's kind of made a split in the population of people who are fans. Like, I know me personally, I showed my cousin Total War Warhammer 2 and Warhammer, obviously combined with the Mortal Empires map, and he loves it. He loves Total War, Warhammer 2, Mortal Empires, all that stuff. The problem is, he's not that into the historical Total Wars like Three Kingdoms. So when Three Kingdoms came out, we played it for a bit, and there was a few bugs here and there, like you couldn't slow-mo. And that was stuff that really affected him because he's obviously had to catch up because I've put so much time in already. So really the biggest issue that we can see is that Total War has like two split fan bases within itself. It's got the historical fans, and then it's got the fantasy fans. And while both of those games are fine, I'm personally fans of both. And with Three Kingdoms, they added a lot of mechanics that I really wish they had in Warhammer 2 and Warhammer in the fantasy series. So I hope that they somehow find a way how to mix them together for Warhammer 3 and they bring some of those elements into Warhammer 3. But moving beyond that point, there has been an announcement of new DLC surrounding Total War 3 Kingdoms. So if you're a fan of historical Total War, you're going to want to pay attention to this. I mean, I know what was it? Was it Troy that was released? And so Troy was an interesting release, but if you look at what they did as a company, they basically gave it away for free for like the first day. Like the first day it was released, it's like it's free. You can download it for free. And so I've had the game forever. I just never really got into it because I don't use the Epic Store all that much. And the game, when I played it, it wasn't as interesting as like Three Kingdoms. Three Kingdoms has a good lore behind it. Once you learn about the characters, their motivations, their actions, like it's a really interesting game. It's a really interesting period in Chinese history. And so I've always been more gravitating towards Three Kingdoms than I was towards Troy. Obviously, I'm still a fan of Troy. Like if you see me, I guess I haven't streamed Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But if you see my Odyssey streams, it's not like I'm sloughing on Greek culture, Greek history, Greek lore, blah, 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 blah. It's just, if you're going to give me Minotaurs in the game, they better be real Minotaurs and not fake Minotaurs. Like, we could have used another Age of Mythology reboot, but, they didn't. So, anyway, forgetting about Troy for now. We're focusing on Three Kingdoms. There's a new trailer, and then there's new content that's going to be released. So why don't we go through and watch these trailers? Why don't we see what's going on and see if this is something that I should really be interested in? Because it is something I am currently intrigued by, but yet I am not necessarily certain it's going to be able to bring me back and get me excited about Total War 3 Kingdoms. Because, like I said, I put 600 hours into 3 Kingdoms, so it's like, once you get to that point, you really understand. Once you put in 200 hours, you understand the game. But once you put in an extra 400, that's just having fun, enjoying your time, and even still, it can get a little bit obnoxious. So, alright, I'm here. Let's just start this up, and let's watch this Fates Divided announcement trailer. Alright, looks like a general addressing some soldiers. You can tell by his character model that he's a unique character. They're probably gonna add him. I don't know who it would be though. Alright, that's Yuan Shao. He dismisses him and he doesn't look happy. Yo, sorry to pause it already. But is it just me or does this guy look like Asmund but with hair? Luxurious hair. Oh, you know what? That doesn't look like Asmund at all. There's no way. But the face though, kinda.
Is it because they wield the strength of 10,000 men?
We got Cao Cao over here with Yo Bei? I can't remember his name. That's Lu Bu, obviously. Why is he so disheveled? Is this after he gets caught? Oh, man.
Or because they see
that's brutal.
And glory
don't pursue Lu Bu.
Beyond measure.
I seek wealth and glory beyond measure. Oh, we got the Guan Yu. God, this guy is so badass. I'm just so pissed off I've never had him in my faction.
To lead.
It'd be so awesome to get somebody like him.
Or perhaps it is simply a matter of honor.
Interesting. Wait, Guan Yu? Did Guan Yu work for Cao Cao? I'm so confused.
In the end, there is only one.
Okay, we got Cao Cao sauntering up. So if you look at the people who are around, I just want to pause really quick and go back here. So if you see this, so you see this guy here and this guy here to the right of Cao Cao, both of them look like they're unique character models. So it looks like we're going to be getting at least 4 or 5 new unique lords, or unique, yeah, I guess unique lords that are added to the game. Not necessarily faction leaders, but unique players who work with other people within their faction. So I'm assuming we're getting a new start date along with this one as well.
There is only one truth. A leader without the trust of their subjects.
Okay, so Asmund switched sides.
Will soon be no leader at all.
Yeah, and we know Yuan Shao loses. He gets his ass kicked. I mean, goddamn. And Cao Cao's coming in on the flank. Do you see that? Do you get that? Okay, so if you look at the flags, right? Those flags, those are Cao Cao's flags, right? You can see those are Cao Cao's flags. And if you go back to here, you can see that same exact flag. You got Cao Cao over here, Yuan Shao over here. You got his forces set up in a long line formation. You got a few troops at the back, right? Looks like they're about to face up. Then you got Cao Cao's cavalry coming back behind for a rear charge in that hammer and anvil situation. So Cao Cao's not fucking around. He's about to end him. He's about to end him. And if you know anything about how the story works, I mean, the 2 Yuan brothers, I mean, you got Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, right? Both of them, I don't know a great amount of the history, but both of them end up failing. One of them tries to declare themselves emperor and gets absolutely demolished. And then the other one basically has everybody's support for the majority of the time. The one we're watching, Yuan Shu, or Yuan Shao, he has the support of the majority of the people. Like, he's got Liu Bei and all these other people. But he eventually loses it because he's not a good leader. He eventually pisses off Sun Jian. He pisses off Cao Cao. Like, they were all a part of the coalition. I think he was responsible for leading the coalition, but it ended up splitting up because he's just not a good leader, as you can tell by the person who I've been calling Asmund switching sides. So it looks like this Fates Divided one is actually going to be an interesting time. I wonder when it's actually going to be put in. So it's the 11th of March. What's it, the 28th? So we've got 10 days-ish until it comes out. Okay, that should be interesting. I mean, if you look at this guy, I think I've seen a little bit of info on him yet. This guy over here to the right, he's going to be, oh my god, it's the other Leo. It's the one on the far west side of the map. He's the one I always fight first since I play as Ma Teng. But, anyway. This promises to be interesting. Let's see if there's another video or anything to talk about actually the mechanics and the stuff that's actually been implemented into the game. Because there's obviously going to be a lot of stuff to go over. Like, new changes and new stuff in the game always makes, like, a significant difference. Face Divided gameplay. Okay. Yeah, this is the video I've already watched a bit of, but I haven't watched the whole thing. So it's 8 minutes. We'll just only pause if it's something that I think we should actually talk about and spend some time discussing and whatnot. So let's just get into it. No need to delay.
While Fates Divided story arcs tend to heat up not long after the brand new 200 start date, To get the clearest picture, we
Okay, so we're getting a new 200-year start date. I think the original start is 180. I think.
need to take a trip back in time. You join us in the year 190.
190, okay.
In China's far west, Liu Yan has waited patiently his entire life for an opportunity to seize power. The chaos at Luoyang has allowed Liu Yan to slip into power, taking control of Yi province. His thoughts turn to building an enduring
And that's his son. So that's the person I was talking about. So not Dong Zhuo.
Taking control of Yi province.
So if you look at
his thoughts turn
him, he's the father, he's the son. I always end up taking out the son's faction anyway. I just couldn't remember his name. I think his name's Liu Zhang.
To building an enduring dynasty. One problem. Liu Yan's old age approaches.
He
is relentlessly driven to achieve a lasting legacy
200,
and will pay
69?
any price to achieve that. In the potentially decade-spanning conflicts of three kingdoms, it is not enough to be a dominant ruler. We must prepare the kingdom for distant campaigns on the horizon.
Yep.
A storm approaches, and the following years will see powerful faction heirs all clashing for their ultimate prize.
Okay.
Liu Yan's campaign challenges him to endure great hardship and make decisions which will make or break the potential of his heir's rule.
Interesting.
With sacrifice, he can stockpile his unique resource, aspiration, to give his kingdom every possible chance of uniting China. There are various trade-offs he can make to give his successor a fighting chance in this cruel, cruel world.
Yeah, easily the best would be.
Not only are these trade-offs stackable, they scale over time, meaning greater rewards the more adversity he endures.
Yeah,
For example, Liu Yan has activated the market protectionism trade-off, cutting him off from the outside world in exchange for renewed strength from within.
That's fine.
You won't be able to hoard aspiration endlessly without more trade-offs. The year in which you pass on the torch also considerably alters the benefits conferred to your heir.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
It really is not enough to simply accumulate aspiration. You will need to complete the objectives relevant to the bonuses you want to access in years to come.
Okay. No, 15 living factions. Own 10 regions. Income per turn is higher than...
Here Liu Yan has to choose between holding on to power so he can finish off the Nan Man himself, or handing over the keys to the kingdom before his heir can become bitter and restless.
Yeah, you can see it. So if you look in the top right, if you look at the top left, let me just go back really quick. So in the top left, you can see it's winter 1989, and the second it becomes 199, or 1989, 198. So the second once this person hits next turn, it's going to basically end up pushing it over into this one where you get late inheritance, minus 10 all attributes to the current heir, minus 10 satisfaction. So it looks like you're really going to want to run up against this marker right here. The only downside of doing 195 to 198 that I've seen is that it does plus 10% character salary faction wide, which is annoying, but you can still overcome that if you still want this guy to be the leader. It's actually interesting. Like, these mechanics seem interesting. I just don't know if they're gonna, like, it doesn't entice me to play as this faction. I'd probably play as one of the other generals. Wait, whoa, that's another legendary lord I haven't seen before. I don't know who this guy is. It doesn't show his picture up here. I can't figure out his name. But that guy looks like he's an additional legendary character added into this faction, which does hold some promise and should be a little bit interesting to see. I think that guy's Dong Li. Oh no, that's actually Zini. That's actually Zini. Yeah. Okay.
Conquering the southern tribes not only stabilizes his power base, it also helps complete the swelling domain objective, which will grant his heir one of a number of new options in his arsenal. Through many vicious and brutal encounters with the tribes of the Nan Man, Liu Yan has legitimized his dynasty in the eyes of his soldiers.
Okay.
The Nan Man are ferocious, but Liu Yan has been able to consistently outnumber them thanks to the new progression mechanic for Han factions. The rework allows Han factions to specialize in different dimensions as they claw their way up.
Okay, so wait. Each one of those has a different thing. So that increases the number, assignments increases the number of people who can go out on assignments, administrators increases the amount of people you have as administrators, trade agreements increases the number of trade agreements, spies increase the number of spies, and I'm assuming army increases the number
on the
of
journey to Emperor.
On the battlefield.
Adding this to Liu Yan's
armies provided 7. Oh, because they're hovering over the one that's 4 over, so that's 3. That's interesting. But it says provided. Why does it say provided? It makes it seems like you're actually earning money to like create these
evolving campaign mechanics makes for a unique playstyle.
Interesting.
If you like building your own personal dynasty, Liu Yan is your character. It's time for the next generation to take charge.
Inheritance triggered, a setting sun. So this is 1 year before the new start date.
Keeping Cao Cao friendly had been a priority for Liu Yan, but perhaps the time has come for a change of strategy.
Cao Cao's got a lot of territory up north too. I wonder if he has a different
Cao
starting
Cao is
spot.
not to be trusted under any circumstances.
No.
He stands as the major local threat to the domination of the West and beyond. To make matters worse, his eldest sons Liu Fan and Liu Dan have both been killed. His youngest son, Liu Zhang, is sharp, but he wasn't forged in the same fires as his father. Liu Zhang may not have been the first choice heir, and right now, he doesn't seem like a serious threat to Cao Cao's foothold.
Nah, not even a little bit. So Cao Cao, looks like Cao Cao's got imperial favor. I thought he had something different. In the main story, I thought he had something different that allows him to like force people to go to war with each other. So unless they rework those mechanics and they change it to something called imperial favor. But then he's also got imperial favor. So they both got imperial favor, but he's got... okay, so... Wait. Okay, this is confusing. I'm actually confused because I haven't kept up with all the mechanics in the game, so I guess I probably shouldn't even speak on it. But it looks like that imperial favor is going to actually play a role in this. So this should be interesting.
The storm brewing between Yan Shao and Cao Cao in the north will require all his family's aspiration to navigate.
Yeah, I thought it was Yuan.
Once childhood friends, their conflict is a pivotal moment in the era of the Three Kingdoms.
Yep.
In this campaign, Yuan Shao has too often been distracted to the threat of Cao Cao's underhanded opportunism, and now China is paying the price. Cao Cao keeps the emperor against his will and holds significantly more power than newly crowned leader Liu Zhang. But that doesn't mean we can't alter the fate of China.
Yeah, he's slowly catching up.
With Yuan Shao increasingly preoccupied by petty politics and the battle between his sons to succeed him, it falls to Liu Zhang to protect the people. Bullish Yuan Tan leads the effort against Cao Cao in an apparent attempt to win his father's approval.
So if you go back, you actually see that there's a significant amount of new characters. So Yuan Tan is actually a unique character model, which is interesting.
It falls to Liu Zhang to protect the people. Bullish Yuan Tan leads the effort against Cao Cao in an apparent attempt to win his father's approval.
This is very interesting.
Liu Zhang's first act is to bend the knee to Liu Biao's pacifist empire. While this might seem like a move lacking in ambition, it's actually rather shrewd. It grants control of the southern borders, allowing Liu Zhang to turn his resources to more important matters.
Like the Nan Man? You're not going to focus on Cao Cao.
Thankfully.
Okay, so if you go back and look at this map, I mean, they're trying to make it seem like he's going to try to secure this, he's going to try to fight them off, and then he's going to go after Cao Cao. What I would do if I had secured a peace treaty or cooperation with Lo Biao is literally I just go south. You're not at war with Ma Teng or anybody else to the north of you. I mean, Zhang Lu is the only one left, so wipe out Zhang Lu, take that capital. Is that a capital? Let me just see. No, that's Hanzhong. Those are Wudu. So I think that's actually a wood... Oh, is that the wood trader? It might be. Anyway, it doesn't much matter. My point is, you would focus south in this situation, and you would try to wipe out these southern tribes, as opposed to going north or doing something else. But I get what they're doing. They're doing it for story reasons. They're trying to explain how it all works and mechanics and blah, blah, blah. So we'll let them have their own idea of how to deal with things. If you're just asking me personally what I would do if I'd secured treaties with the people to the north, east, and southeast of me, I would focus on the people who hate me. That's what I would do.
Thankfully, Liu Zhang's father prepared admirably. By spending the aspiration resource on his soldiers, we can seize upon a moment of weakness. With Sun Tzu's Wu army pushing up in an attempt to liberate the emperor, the window of opportunity to critically wound the snake Cao Cao arises. Thanks to his greed, Cao Cao is already running at a food deficit.
Oof.
This massive movement range and morale bonus will last 15 turns, allowing Liu Zhang to move with the speed of red hair. We ride swiftly to capture Cao Cao.
In case you don't know, I believe Red Hair is the name of the horse of Lu Bu. So I believe that's Lu Bu's horse. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Crucial fishing port in the Yellow River.
Okay.
With Cao Cao pulled across multiple fronts, it should be
Wait, Cao Cao has Ziyi?
In addition to the usual impacts this has in stunting his ability to replenish his armies,
it does look like new
units,
also
impacts the new Imperial Intrigue system introduced with Fates Divided.
Okay.
Imperial Intrigue reflects how the Emperor looks upon you, allowing us to manipulate the diplomatic relations of Han Empire factions. As well as maintaining high public order, keeping that food stockpile topped off now also impacts your ability to influence Han Empire factions. Ma Cheng could once be considered a friend to the kingdom. Unfortunately for him, he's falling out of favor with the Empire and occupies locations of significant strategic value. With a sly whisper, we can manipulate diplomatic relations and squeeze inconvenient factions into submission with minimal bloodshed. Fate has led Cao Cao's own successor to recapture the fishing ports of Mengmen. Capitalizing on Liu Yan's great sacrifice, it's time to shape the fate of China. As we weren't able to strike down Cao Cao yet, I also have to deal with the prowess provided by the Northern Army.
They got 3 legendaries
Either Cao
on either
Cao or
side.
Yuan Shao reach the 7th character rank,
I think
the
that's
Northern
Zhao
Army
Tai.
comes into play. Soldiers sworn to protect and serve the North against all threats fill out the roster, significantly improving the options available to them.
Interesting.
They're the bravest of the brave, keenest of the keen. We must be smart, penetrate the ranks, and extinguish every last drop of morale. Our Dongzubing defenders are experts in causing fear in the enemy ranks.
Yeah, the new units.
Unfortunately, as usual, any army under Cao Cao's banner has several tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah, that guy's got a legendary sword. I can see by its coloration.
He has recruited battle-hardened Yellow Turban remnants and manipulated their devotion for his own needs, causing them to go berserk when most men would flee.
Yeah, this wasn't a battle the defenders were going to win unless they set it up perfectly.
His Tiger Cub units also hold the discipline trait, keeping them focused on the task at hand, even when their leaders fall.
Good.
It's looking bleak, but we have successfully lured Cao Cao's heir into our grasp. It's time to liberate the Emperor.
Yeah, I mean, Zhao Tai was going to kill his ass. I knew that. That wasn't a question.
How will you decide the Emperor's fate? Fates Divided is out on the 11th of March.
The 11th of March, huh? That's actually really interesting, because at least for me personally, it's like I never play the objective where I go after and try to secure the Emperor, because I know that's just a bad decision. Like, it's a good decision in theory, but it's also a bad decision. Because once you get that Emperor, at least in the main campaign, then it makes it so everybody who wants Han territory is going to have to go to war with you. So if there's Han Empire territory near them, they're going to go to war with the Han. You're going to have to go to war with them because you're then the vassal master of the Han, which is going to put you into a much larger conflict spanning the whole world, which is something you don't want to have. So at least for me personally, whenever I play as Ma Teng, I just avoid dealing with Dong Zhuo. Like, Dong Zhuo is one of my trade partners. I just let him do whatever he wants. I'll trade with you. I'm not going to back you up versus anybody else. I'm going to betray Han Sui, and then I'm going to consolidate power in the north. Like, I've got a definite strat that I continue to use. But it looks like this is going to be interesting. It's going to add some new mechanics to the game, so altogether I'm excited about it. I'm just not entirely certain what the point of it is at the end of the day. I mean, it looks like it's cool, but it's almost like the 8 Princes, where it's like it just adds new mechanics. And it's like that's what you have to do in historical Total War. Like, you just pick a different engagement, a different encounter, and then you just make a campaign addition to it. Like, if you remember Rome 2, there's like Caesar in Gaul. Like, there's all of these other smaller campaigns that you could do that were smaller than the big campaign map, but then they'd be more detailed for what they had. And so while this is going to be using the same campaign map, it's adding new mechanics, new features, new factions, and so it should be an interesting situation to see play out. I'm excited for it. I think I'm going to get it and see what it's like, but we'll see. I have to do a live stream on it to show off a lot of the stuff, because there's still some things that I'm confused on. Like, if you can just decrease somebody standing with the Emperor, what does it matter if the Emperor is being controlled by, say, Cao Cao? Like, does it mean that Cao Cao then goes to war with you, or does it mean the Han goes to war with you? And if so, is the Han actually strong enough to do anything? Because there really aren't in like, then the situation I was talking about where I don't want to be declared the vassal master of the Han, it's because they are really not a strong enough faction. You have to support them yourself. And it's something that I just don't enjoy to do. However, if you are their vassal master, you can then confederate them and take all their territory. So it's like, I don't know if you can do it with the Han as easy. I think you have to be, I think low. Oh my gosh, I can't even say. Is it low Biao? No, it's not Biao. Biao's the old one. Oh my god, I'm so fucking stupid. But look at this. This guy. This one. Yo, Bay, I think that guy can confederate them all, so. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. I mean, it was just really to check it out and look and see. Total War is still producing content for Three Kingdoms, which I'm excited to see. It's by far my favorite historical Total War. I don't think there's a question about it. I mean, I like Shogun 2 with the ninjas and doing those assassination scenes. Those were incredibly fun to watch. So maybe that one would be my, like, sentimental favorite, but it's just, if you play it, it's just been so long, the mechanics are stale, like, the combat is just, it is what it is. It's an old game. You can't be upset at it. And so I'd really like to see something different. I'd really like to see something succeed that's new in terms of the historical Total War. While I enjoyed Rome 2, I know there's a lot of people who didn't. So I'm going to just go with my gut on my favorite historical Total War, and it's Three Kingdoms for me. Just because I love the mechanics that they added. I love dueling. I love romance mode, where it's like your generals are literally like almost like gods, if you will. Like, they just go out and they do all the work themselves most of the time. Like, I used to, when I played with my cousin in multiplayer, I'd just take my 3 generals, and if I was fighting a settlement, I'd keep all my infantry back. I'd just send my generals up through a gap I would create in the wall, and then I'd just go capture the victory point every time, and it'd just be fun to be able to do that. It's almost like Total War Warhammer, where you have your general can be like on a dragon or something, or super powerful with magic, or have really powerful attacks, as long as they're like a legendary form. Like a legendary general, as opposed to like a generic one. Generic ones could still be powerful too, but the legendary ones obviously have that edge. So, looks promising. Looks like there's going to be stuff to be able to do. But I'm going to end this video here because there's not much more for me to talk about. I got to see some of those mechanics in first person. And, yeah, it looks like it's going to be interesting. It looks like it's going to be an interesting time period and an interesting setting. They've done this frequently where they just slightly change the year by a little bit. So I think in this one, they've just gone 20 years into the future when Cao Cao has control of the Emperor. And he's going up against Yuan Shao, but we'll see. Because Shao is by far my least favorite character in the whole fucking series. And that's mostly because of the mechanics that he had when the game launched, where he turned everybody into his vassal. And then once he declared himself Emperor, all of those people would go up to his capital and then defend it. And I would need like literally 20 armies to even take his goddamn capital. So it's one of those things that it would be annoying to have to deal with late game. So anything that like pits him against somebody else and he loses, I'm kind of a fan of. So I'll see you guys next time. Hope you had a great day and enjoyed this content. Drop a like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date to my gaming news videos and whatnot. And yeah, there's not much left to say. I'm excited to see what it is and excited to see what it's about. I'm excited to hear more news about Warhammer 3. So for me, it's not mutually exclusive. It's not like they're working on Three Kingdoms, so they're not working on Warhammer 3. It's like, no, they're giving us some more content for Three Kingdoms, and then they're also going to give us Warhammer 3. So I'm excited to see what they do with both. I'm excited to get more news on Warhammer 3, and I'm happy they're still working on Three Kingdoms. So see you guys next time. Hope you had a great day. Not much left for me to say, but I'm out of here. Peace.